one for you today. We're going to bust through some of the most common myths that are associated with social media and sharing online. So get ready. I want you to have the most accurate and the most clear information possible as you venture into this world online. And the very best way we can do that is to get rid of some of these false beliefs and misconceptions that I see floating around all the time. So I have been blogging for almost 8 years, and I have been sharing doTERRA online for 5 years, and I love doing things online. But I get emails almost daily from folks who have a little bit of confusion around how this all works. And the videos in this training are going to give you so much clarity and so much value. And we're going to kick that off with some of the most common myths that surround sharing oils online. Alrighty. So first, social media myth. I see this one all the time. Building online has got to be so much easier, right? You know, people think this. I see a lot of people coming to me asking for advice because they think that doing doTERRA online is going to save them from some of the effort that they foresee coming with sharing doTERRA face-to-face. Well, I'm here to tell you today that regardless of whether you share doTERRA locally or you share it online, it still takes work. You have to put effort in, you have to be creative, you have to show up every day, and you have to be consistent, okay? So online isn't a shortcut. And in fact, believe it or not, it can actually take longer, and it often takes longer to build online than it does locally. So here's the thing. No matter what, and no matter how awesome technology might become, sharing face-to-face where you can put an oil on someone and give them a hug and look them in the eye is always going to be the most effective way to share. It creates trust, the people can feel your energy and feel your passion, and that's going to be always the most simple way to help someone understand the power of these oils. The thing with online sharing is while it does work, and it's worked for me, you need to attract a lot of people, so large numbers of leads, in order to have a small number of people who are ready to enroll with you. So it's really a numbers game. And I see a lot of people getting frustrated with this at the beginning because, you know, they have a couple hundred people who like their Facebook page, or who maybe a dozen people who came to a training they did online, but they aren't seeing it translate into enrollments yet. And the reason for that is because it just takes time to create that trust. And so I'm not going to discourage you from building online or sharing online, but my very best recommendation for you is to keep doing local classes and one-on-ones and training and giving out samples and putting oils on people and loving on them face-to-face. And then when you have time, when all those activities are done for the day, you can put some effort into creating this online presence. So if you start with online, it can be really frustrating when you don't see those results right away. So local first, then online, and wait for that momentum to catch up. Alrighty, next myth. Alrighty, this is a big one. If I enroll someone online, then I'm done, right? Super easy. This is a dangerous belief because it creates this cycle of turnovers in our enrollments and can cause a lot of damage to our teams and really cause people to be kind of disillusioned with the oils because they sign up, they don't get support, and they're on to the next thing. That's not what we want, right? We're creating residual income and we're creating good retention rates. And so if you are enrolling people online, then you need to be 100% sure that you have a really solid follow-up and nurture process to help those people become more confident in their oils and to get the information they need. So we don't want to see people enrolling and then never ordering again, right? That means they're not learning how powerful these oils are and using them to their full potential. So I highly recommend, in fact, I insist that if you are enrolling online, you have a plan on how to nurture people afterwards. So for me, that looks like Facebook groups because the people I enroll are all over, right? So they can't come to my house. So we do Facebook groups, we do emails, I get on the phone with them, I reach out to them personally, I pair them up with other leaders or team members in their area so they can have that connection. We do a 2-week-long educational event for all of our newbies to help them learn about their oils and get confident and learn safety tips. And we do little prizes, and I send people welcome packs. So enrolling them online is one thing, but we spend a lot of time after the fact nurturing and following up and making sure these people know they're a part of our community and we're here to help them. So that's going to be a really crucial portion of you building online. All right, myth number 3. Oh, this is a big one. I hear people say this all the time, right? A lot of us, let's say a lot of us, some of us are introverts, myself included, right? And so we kind of get uncomfortable talking to people, and it's a little bit awkward sometimes. And so I see a lot of people assuming that if you share behind your computer screen, then you'll never have to talk to a human. And that sounds really amazing. But I hate to break it to you, but that's not how it works. I don't know of a single business where you can be successful without getting out of your comfort zone. So even if you do enroll someone through the computer, you absolutely must get out from behind your computer screen at some point. So you need to be coming to doTERRA events and getting on the phone with people and hosting local trainings. It's absolutely crucial. So if you're coming into this online idea of sharing and thinking that it's going to help you stay in your little bubble, well, you're going to have to let go of that, because doTERRA is about getting out of your comfort zone, creating relationships, and the very best relationships don't happen from behind your computer screen. Alrighty, we're cruising through these myths. Number 4, if I build it, people will come. All right, so we all know there's a ton of people online, so it only makes sense that if I put up a Facebook page or I put up a website, then just tons of people are going to find it, right? Wrong. So online is a crowded space. There's a lot of noise happening on the internet. And in order for you to be found, you must market yourself and you must actively share with intention. And it takes some time to create that momentum. In fact, it often takes sometimes years to create traction if you're creating a blog or a website. And if you're creating something like a Facebook page or an Instagram profile, you have to be really strategic in the relationships you're creating and the content you're posting and how you're marketing yourself in order to get people to find you. I would love it if I could just put a profile up and call it good and then people would magically flow towards me, but it doesn't quite work like that. You need to put forth consistent effort in sharing and communicating to people and getting the word out and being creative and how you're doing that in order to get people to find you, and then you can serve them, okay? So it's very strategic in how this works. Myth number 5, if I find it online, it's fair game. And when I say it, I'm referring to things like images or pictures, or maybe a really cool list of essential oil uses. This is a really big danger, and I see a lot of new wellness advocates accidentally do this, and I don't think anyone's doing it maliciously. But you have to understand that content on the internet is copyrighted. So whether it's an image or a photo or someone's blog post that you thought was really cool, it's all copyrighted information, which means you can't use it. And one thing I see often is people recommending to others that they just go on Google image search and grab some photos to use. And that can get you in really hot water. So anything you find on Google image search is owned by someone else or was created by someone else. So you cannot use that without permission. And if you do use it, best case scenario, the person will find out and just send you a nice email asking you to take it down. Worst case scenario, someone could actually threaten legal action or demand that you pay them for using it. So I don't want any of you to get into this sort of hot water. So just don't use any pictures or any blog posts or articles that you don't have permission to use first. So if you are looking for images to share or to use as bases for your social media graphics, a few suggestions. You can take them yourself, right? We're going to do an image video that's going to show you some tips for taking good videos and how to put text overlay and other graphics over the top of images so you can make them yourself. You can use some of the beautiful images that doTERRA Corporate has provided with us or for us, or kind of a last case sort of scenario is you can use stock images. These can be purchased on the internet for a nominal fee, and then once you purchase a stock image, generally depending on the rules of the website, you can use that image freely, right? Because you own the rights to use that image. And that's a safe way to get graphics or pictures that you might need as you share without getting into any trouble. So be very careful with what you use online and don't use anything without permission. Alrighty, let's wrap this up with myth number 6. Now, I actually don't think that any of you really believe this because we've probably all been on Facebook long enough to know that people are generally braver when they're behind a computer screen. And sometimes when you're out there sharing online, even if you have the most amazing intentions, not everyone's going to love it. And you have to be prepared for that. And sometimes people will disagree with you or they'll want to start a fight. And I just want you to know that it's okay. And sometimes when you're shining the brightest, it causes some other people to be uncomfortable. And I just want to encourage you that take it in stride. Don't engage if someone's trying to start a fight or a war with you. Take the higher road and just keep sharing with that authenticity and that servant's heart. And it just works out, right? So don't engage with the naysayers or someone who's picking at your message. Just keep going, do what you do best, and share like crazy. Alrighty, guys, those were the top 6 myths I'm seeing around social media right now. I hope that was helpful. And now we're going to dive into the rest of this amazing content in this training.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Haley Hobson, and I'm here with my friend and teammate, Elena Brower.
Nice to see you guys.
We are here to talk to you guys about doTERRA culture and preserving that culture in everything we do, from the moment that we walk out our front door and that message that we're sending people online and in classes and the way that we interact with other human beings in doTERRA. And yeah, I mean, personally, what I see is that we are all in this together, right? We are all building our businesses together. Even if we are on different teams, we have the obligation to preserve the integrity of doTERRA and the community and the culture. Elena, what would you say?
Well, that was actually what drew me to the business when I finally stopped resisting it and started to actually engage with it. When I started to see the level of community and care and kindness and collaboration that was happening, both within the team on which I found myself and then also amongst, from team to team, cross line and cross team. I feel my responsibility is to definitely shore up my own space and my own development. But that said, so much of that work is about making myself stronger for supporting everybody else and helping everybody else and doing what I can to make sure that people get their questions answered, of course, within reason. So it's a very, I feel, very important topic. It's a very delicate topic too, because there are boundaries when we get into bigger roles, bigger ranks, bigger teams. We then have to sort out, okay, so how much time am I devoting to my business versus cooking dinner, versus hanging out with my kid, versus hanging out with my partner. I'm in a massive calibration right now where, as you remember, Haley, when you first hit presidential, now it's been like 4 or 5 months, and I love so much what I'm doing that I will just do it all day and night. Like, no stopping me. It's so funny. And I live for the enrolling still. And that all of that is a part of how I bring myself to the business, but that too has to be a part of the discussion, because it's not just, yes, I'm going to support the culture, and yes, I'm going to support myself, and yes, I'm going to grow my mindset and my personal development, but I also have to be careful. So it's all a part of this discussion, and I think it's a very worthwhile one to be having.
Yeah, and one of the things that I didn't understand, because I've never been in a business before doTERRA, where really
Yeah.
there was such a massive community working together to have a common goal. And I've always been the kind of person that, like, it's like I do this and I have to win, right? And I have to be like the best at it, because if I don't, I'm going to not get the rewards that I want. And this was a new thing for me, because it wasn't just like me competing with me. It was me sharing me, and me helping others, and me putting myself out there and giving my time in sometimes, like what you're describing, a really massive way for the overall good of the community, which in the end actually shines back on us. So it took me quite a while to adjust to that, because that's just not the environment that I was raised in. And it's not the type of life that I had before this. I was an attorney before doTERRA.
I know.
Just a different lifestyle. And
So
one of the
different.
reasons I actually picked you to do this video with was because you knew me in the very beginning, and I knew you in the very beginning. We've both evolved a lot since then. And, who I have become along my journey is a very different person than who I started as on my journey. And I think it's important to recognize that hopefully all of us will be able to see ourselves develop and realize that the more we give back, the more we will receive. And it is not always just a me. I've got to get this enrollment. I've got to win Diamond Club. It's more like, how can you share your creativity and your area of genius to help others shine, which in turn ends up helping you shine as well.
Yep. I think a good point to that is just to make sure that you're always a student. I find that I'm definitely learning something every day, and as much as we need to know in order to reach a rank like Blue Diamond or Presidential Diamond or even Diamond or even gold or platinum or silver, you have to know a lot. And your willingness to be a student, if you're listening to this or watching, your willingness to be a student of this culture, I think, is a very worthwhile endeavor. And constantly be available to learn from the folks around you, and be willing, to absorb what it is that people are doing that works, and learn from their mistakes too. There are lots of mistakes that we have all made, and those too are worthwhile learning. So yeah, I think studentship is a real important point too when it comes to this culture. And the ones who are the most successful, I've found in our company, still learning and still willing to be students.
It's great that you said that, because it's not just in doTERRA culture. The people that are most successful in entrepreneurship, period, are the people that are always willing to grow and learn. And education, and I always like to call it like being in the know, right? The more in the know that you can be, the more successful you will be in your business. And I notice this in a rampant way, just even in my own team, is like those that aren't tapping in, right, to our Facebook communities, or showing up on calls, or, willing to turn on the speakerphone while they're, showering to listen to a leadership call or whatever, right? Or aren't willing to put something.
Guilty. Guilty.
Because there is a lot of information that's coming in all the time, but the more you are able to take it in and continue to learn and be in the know, whether you are, driving in your car and have to have your phone next to you on speakerphone, or whether you are, laying in bed and watching that instead of television, or, whether you are willing to set aside 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes every 3 hours to scroll through your Facebook groups, to just make sure that you are constantly being a student. And the more of a student that you are, the more you will absorb the culture, because you will start to see what is working with others. You will start to see what is flowing. You'll start to see that energy, and then you'll be able to implement that. And you'll see that, certain things don't work, and certain things aren't condoned, and certain things are scorned upon, and yet other things, are people are admiring and lifting up. And the more you're able to absorb that information, the more you will feel that culture. So, in lines with culture, I just wanted to point out a couple of things about promos and guidelines and incentives and things like that we should just all be in common agreement on, right? Like, we don't want to undervalue doTERRA's product ever, right? So we want to be careful what we're saying online. And while you are more than welcome to do whatever you want in your private communities and your private classes in your homes, be careful what you're saying online, because you are here with the rest of us, and we never want to feel like we're upping somebody else or able to, provide something else that somebody is not able to do. You and your genius is enough value to give to people online in order to get those enrollments. I just want to remind you of that. Yeah, and that retention is such a huge part of our business. And so going after those enrollments is awesome, and never stop enrolling. Both Elena and I thrive on still bringing new bodies and people into our team. And, the two of us as Presidential Diamonds are on the incentive trip every year because we're winning some of the, we're in that top enroller spot. But we also know how important it is to convert the enrollment to what we call the second enrollment, which is getting them an all-RP and getting them to become a huge fan of doTERRA, both the product, the oils themselves, and the community, right? And the community, like, teach your people how awesome this culture is, because as Elena said earlier, once she fell in love with, she was already in love with the oils, right? But when she fell in love with the community is when she went from silver to Presidential Diamond, like, overnight, and I watched it happen. And, one more thing that I will personally say is use your oils. I go through, just total vulnerability here. I go through my own stresses every day of my life, and, total transparency. The last couple of days I've had have not been easy, where I'm like waking up and looking at an email and breaking down into tears. And I know, like, look at me now, I'm laughing and smiling only a little bit later because I've got my collection on me all the time. And I know what works to bring that energy back into my body and to slow down the fight or flight that's going on in my body and raise my vibration and bring peace and calmness into my life. And that is part of our culture, is being a product of the product and not just trying to get the enrollment.
I could say there are a couple points that you made over the course of that I wanted to add to also, and thank you. One, regarding promotions, there are very clear boundaries, and I have broken them a couple of times. So I wanted to share with you my learning so that you don't make the same mistakes. A couple times I was so excited. doTERRA had an offer, I don't know, spend $200, get Immortelle, 200 points and get Immortelle. And then I would add to it, and if you enroll with me, you can have my meditation course or something like this. Super innocent, had no idea that I was doing something wrong. And immediately an email from compliance saying, hey, you have to change that. You're not allowed to add or incentivize people with your own personal incentives. You can just promote doTERRA's incentives. And that was a great learning for me. It happened twice. The second time was even more innocent. I thought this couldn't be a problem. And of course, it's an unfair advantage. So you just want to be very careful about what you put out in your public-facing social media. Again, as Haley said, your private-facing stuff, your private groups, private personal BOGOs, anytime you wish, that's fine, as long as it's not in the public. So that's an important point. And I appreciate that about doTERRA, and I got no problem with that at all. No problem deleting, changing those posts, because I realized as soon as I was made aware that, of course, that's not fair at all. And I want to keep the level playing field because I want my team to be successful. I don't need an advantage over anybody else. All I need to know is that I have fostered change and growth for somebody else. So the second thing is on the tip of using your oils that Haley gave, which is great. I have always felt very connected to using a journal for how you use your oils and keeping it close by, because as you grow the possibility of being in public and sharing your work, you will want to have kind of a reference manual of your own use of the oils. I have always, my dear leader on my team, Catherine Winship, has taught me this from the very beginning. If I keep a journal of the uses of my oils, I have at the ready these gorgeous blends that I forgot about, and these beautiful diffuser blends that I forgot about. And oh, and my son loved this spray when he was X years old, and now I can share that with my girlfriend who has that same age child. So keep a journal as you're using the oils. That will all help with your sort of, as Haley said, second enrollment. When you're reaching up into the people whom you've enrolled and you're encouraging them to be on the LRP and you're helping them know how to use the oils, that journal is going to be priceless information for your sharing with them. Because it's not just about getting the new folks in. It really is about making sure that the folks you've enrolled are aware of what they're sitting on and how they can use it.
Yeah, and one more thing I think we should talk about, Elena, before we wrap this up is part of the doTERRA culture is, as we all know, sharing our essential oil journey and helping people become that empowered person in their home to be able to work with themselves and work with their families, to provide emotional and physical support, and hopefully eventually financial support. But I think there's a myth out there that if we are building a business online, that we can sit behind our computer and never have to talk to anybody. And I want to dispel that myth right now because it's not part of our culture. And I see some of the top enrollers in the company expecting that they can pull unknown, bodies and what I call a cold market into their organization, and that's how they're going to build their business. And I just want to remind you, and I know some of you are sitting back and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe she's saying this." She is a top enroller, but I want you to know that I spend a lot of time relationship building. And I didn't know that I was going to have to do that in the beginning. And I'm glad I like it because it's absolutely part of the journey. So whether you have an already existing massive audience and of friends and followers, or whether you're just beginning your journey and you decide that you want to use the internet to help you, I think it's a fabulous idea to be able to reach as many people as you can. But remember that number one, people come into your life and buy something from you because they feel a connection to you and they trust you. And usually you will not be able to convert a very cold market. In fact, I've tried that and I've tested it, even with Facebook paid advertising, and cold markets don't convert. You have to be able to warm people up. And then when you warm them up and you continue that development, that relationship, that cultivation of that friendship with people that you are either on the path to enroll or you've literally brought into your business, that relationship must continue. Because if you're not willing to do that work, you will not have retention and you will not have a business. And it is a big, huge myth that those of us who are out here on the internet are doing less work. In fact, we're probably doing 10 times as much work because there's more people we're connecting with and there's more relationship building going on.
I agree with that entirely. And I definitely spend a lot of time on phone calls and emails, giving even people whom I've never met, whom you would maybe consider cold, except that they are aware of me online. And so they're interested in working with me because they appreciate the work that I've done thus far for the last 20 years in the yoga world. Even there, I have to spend lots of time explaining. I've even created an entire website just to train new enrollees to the team. And that's taken us 2 years to create. you know, I want to say with all due respect that the people who do very, very well with doTERRA are working hard. They are not just sitting back. At some point, maybe into the distant future, when all of my leaders are diamonds or above, maybe I could have a little more free time. But right now, 3 days a week, I am working hard on my business. This is technically one of my days off, Wednesdays and Fridays. And those are the days where I do these kinds of phone calls, interviews and podcasts and things like that. But it's still in favor and in advancing my doTERRA business. So just in case you were thinking that folks at our rank don't work so hard, we are working hard. We are loving our work for the most part, honestly, and we're showing up. And that's what it takes to achieve, and most importantly, to sustain these higher ranks with this business. And I'm proud of both of us, Haley, because we've accomplished a lot, and I am acutely aware of what it takes, both personally and professionally. And in this, in the conversation about culture, it takes building a culture, a true culture within the confines of this team to advance as far as we have. So,
oh my gosh, I'm getting chills.
It's true. It's very true.
Really good stuff.
It takes,
guys. It's really
it takes
good
a
stuff.
lot.
So,
Yep.
Thank you for your time. I'm going to invite you, I'm sure Elena invites you to lean into this, to embody and embrace the idea that we are working together as a unified front to stand up and be the very best people, the very best humans that we can be, both for ourselves and our families and for everyone around us in our space. Thank you.
True. Thank you.
So you want to enroll from social media to help build your doTERRA business. I have a few tips on how to help you do just that. What I love about social media is you're able to connect with people that in any other situation, you probably would have never met before. Enrolling from social media is a bit of an art, so let me give you my top tips to form an authentic connection with your potential new members. Number one is that people are always watching how you show up on social media. Many people may follow you for months, even years before they reach out. So treat your social media like it's a class platform and stay consistent. Number two is treat people just as you would if you were in their home teaching a class. Ask questions, listen to their needs, understand why they're searching for natural solutions. Do not just send them your link to enroll. And number three, do not fire hose people with information. Keep it basic, give them a few options, and let them decide. A confused mind will walk away slowly, so it's your job as a wellness advocate to make sure that you're keeping it super simple for them. Remember, this is a journey, not a race. So hopefully these few quick tips have helped to build your confidence in enrolling people from your social media platforms.
Greetings, my name is Elena Brower, and I'm here to talk about enrolling from social media. This will be short and sweet. What I do is not that exciting or complex. I don't have a scheduled social media posting situation. I just go on my own intuition and what's needed on the team at the time. Typically, I will do about 1 or 2 doTERRA posts a week, depending on how the week is flowing and what week of the month it is. And I will usually do about once a month a post where I'm asking specifically for leaders who are interested in being tenacious and visionary and joining our team. It's very sweet, it's very simple, and I have the advantage of, for sure, of having a previous career where folks actually have built up a level of trust in me. So I'm recognizing that. My previous 2 decades of teaching yoga definitely lend themselves to folks wanting to be on a team with me and enroll with me. So it does give me a little leg up, let's say, in this process. So I just want to be honest about that, because I do find that it's pretty easy to do. But there are certain steps that I take that I think will benefit you greatly. One, when I do post, I just say very simply, email me personally if you'd like to learn more. And when people email me, I have a few what are in Gmail, what are called canned responses. In the bottom right of your email window, you will see a little arrow. And if you go there, it says canned responses, and you can literally set up any draft you like. Click on that arrow, click on canned responses, and click on saved canned response. And then you can have a few different responses saved in your Gmail. It's really convenient and really smart, and it does save you time from writing the same email over and over. If you don't have Gmail, you can just save a draft that you cut and paste and then personalize. Here's the big thing. Every time I do click canned response and I put one into an email field as a response to someone, I always make sure that I make it personal. I add a question, always, at the beginning and at the end. So the first question would be, hey, how can I help you? I'm really looking forward to learning and growing with you. The last question, and then I would provide whatever information they requested, be it the enrollment information or information about what it means to join the team. And the last question would be something like, how can I serve you further? Please feel free to let me know. So that the ball is in their court. And there's a level of engagement that is very naturally asked for without being demanded. And that's something very sweet. So I'm really not, I don't enroll direct from social media. Some people do, and they do it very successfully. But what I do is actually I get engagement through social media, and I get involved in conversations and email chains with folks. And I know that some people really don't want to be doing that, and I understand that it's a time commitment, but I do find that I get a pretty high enrollment rate from just being concerned and caring when people email me about joining my team. The posts that I do, you'll find in a recording here on this with Jill Winger that I did about images, creating images for social media, both with and without text. So I would definitely reference that as well. And in terms of your own work with social media regarding enrollment, please do what feels natural to you. Do what feels right to you. Don't do what someone else is doing. You know, it's your house, it's your oils, it's your experience, it's your images, it's your words, your life. And what your people want to see, those people with whom you're engaging on social media, they want to see you. They want to see what you're up to. They want to see your ideas and your loves and your visions. So keep it to you. Really try to keep it to yourself, meaning don't just use someone else's formula, as tempting as it may be. Combine what I do with, let's say, first person I'm thinking of is Keely Martinez, Essentially Obsessed on Instagram. She is slaying it on Instagram. And she has a beautiful set of story highlights, which I would definitely look at to see if that's something that works for you and resonates with you. You know, that's a great example of someone that I know who really does a great job of engaging and enrolling directly from social media. Mine, as I said, is resting on 20 years prior experience in another career, and resting on the fact that I'm happy to take the time to email people individually and really engage with them. That seems to work for me, as I said. So I think that's helpful for now. I hope it is of service for you in your enrolling, and I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you.